Hello all, welcome back to my channel. Today was the last day for applying for MRCP Part 1, August 2024 date. The exam date has been announced earlier. It's on August 14th. So if you had applied and began to prepare for MRCP Part 1, here is my little take on the exam and how you need to prepare. When you are preparing for MRCP, it might seem a little daunting because you have too much on the table. So here is my strategies and ideas and tips and tricks on how to ace your MRCP Part 1, August 2024. So before you give any exam, you need to know your exam beforehand. You need to know what the exam is trying to test you. You need to know what they want you to know and how the exam structure and everything is planned. So, MRCP, or Membership of the Royal College of Physicians UK, is conducted as a three-part exam: Part 1, Part 2, and PACES. PACES is a clinical test, and Part 1 and Part 2 are written exams. Part 1 is consisting of 200 questions, as well as Part 2. It is a best of 5 option model questions. You need to just choose from the 5 options given. It's a 3 are of 100 questions each, so a total of 6 hour exam. And in part 2 you also have image based questions, and in part 1 it is a 6 hours with the break in between the 3 hour duration. Now, before you start preparing for the exam, you need to know the weightage of MRCP Part 1. They've clearly stated in the website how much ever they are trying to ask from each topic. A rough idea you will get from the scenario. Like for cardiology, they've given a weightage of 14, and for clinical pharmac and therapeutics, they've given a weightage of 15, clinical sciences 25, dermat 8, endocrine diabetes and metabolic medicine 14, gastro and hepatology 14, geriatry 8, hematology 10, infectious diseases 14, urology 14, oncology 5, medical ophthalmology 4, palliative medicine and end of life care 4, psychiatry 9, renal medicine 14, respiratory medicine 14, and rheumatology 14. So when you have this rough idea, you will understand how much time you can allot for each topic, and the importance of not skipping a topic, because if you skip cardiology, you're going to not attempt 14 questions, and there are no negative marks, so you need to attempt every question. It is a total of 200 questions, and among clinical sciences, which is of 25 questions weightage, they are further divided into different topics like cell, molecular and membrane biology 2, clinical anatomy 3, clinical biochemistry and metabolism 4, clinical physiology 4, genetics 3, immunology 4, and statistics, epidemiology and evidence-based medicine. And I need to focus on statistics, because there is no way that you're going to remember anything that you have learned from statistics, and they have certain formulas, things like sensitivity, specificity, positive predictive value, negative predictive value. There are all terms that you need to recollect and retain in your brain, so you have to read from statistics because it values 5 questions, which is a good number. So unless and until you read, you are not going to get the answers. But if you read, statistics is not such a hectic topic, so do read your static. Now, before you step into the preparation, you focus and finalize on your study resources. You need to have a question bank, and you need to have your materials. For the question bank, the usual preferred ones are past medicine, past test. There are others like BMG on examination, and there are so many mock papers and past papers available. But you need to choose one and stick to one, because that is going to help you, especially during the last 2 months. As for study resources and textbooks, you can always go back to the textbooks you have learned in your medical school. But for good read and concise reading, especially during this short period, I would prefer and recommend Marabi's notes for MRCP, which is great and they're concise. And there's no doing question bank can't be overemphasized because it is a must and the best and the easiest way to crack the exam, because you then understand what they're really trying to test and you understand your weak areas, your strengths, what you're going to face on the real exam day. And as for the question banks, there is a real debate on past medicine versus past test. So whichever you prefer, it's your choice. But for personal preference, I go for past test because it has 5,300 plus questions on the active subscription, and it has past papers, mock tests, and it has so many insights on the website. And also the chapter wise and topic wise things like flashcards you can always look into. And when I do my question bank, I always try to keep and maintain an error log. In my error log, what I do is I write the topic, I write the question, I write the wrong answer and why my answer is wrong, and I write the learning lesson in all in one notebook so that I'll have one notebook for all the topics when I'm doing my mixed question bank. And when I do my revision, if I go back to my this error log, I'll have an idea of where I am wrong and why am I wrong there. So it enhances my knowledge and it re-establishes and strengthens my weak areas. So that is a great tool. And as for my resources, I already told I go for Step Up to MRCP by Maharabi. That's my primary read. I think it's better you stick to one book or you stick to one book for a particular topic, because if you try to read from different things, it's going to be too hectic and here everything is going to be here and there. So try to stick to one book. And if for other recommendations, I'd recommend Oxford Handbook of Internal Medicine, USMLE Step 2 CK, and as I always tell, you can go back to your books that you have used while in your medical school. And while you read from any book aforementioned, you can just take your own notes, keep it crisp and precise and as needed for the revision. Always remind yourself while you're reading from the book and writing your notes that you're keeping it for revision and not for elaborate reading. And if you're someone like me who like flashcards are a great tool, especially to remember topics like pharmacology, which are highly volatile and all over the place, like mechanism of action, side effect profile. It's very likely that you forget anything from the topic. So if you like flashcards, try maintain them while you read the question bank. If you think something needs to go in the flashcard, you can write flashcards. As for the flashcards, I would prefer the digital version. And as for the notes, I prefer the pen and paper and the old traditional method, because notes are going to be something that help while you physically write. It's going to help and boost your memory. But for flashcards, for easy revision and space revision, I go for the digital version like Anki. It is a very easy and user-friendly interface website. It has got an app, it has got a mobile version and a website version, and I think it's a great tool for keeping up your flashcards, and it can also remind you for your space revision, and it's a great tool. And the last thing I need to remind you is after your reads, after your question bank, you have to revise, and it cannot be handled lightly, because revision is the must. What revision does is it organizes all of your memory, your ideas, your thoughts, and your information into bits and chunks, and it helps to retain your memory for longer. Because if you just read and go, you're not going to retain, because most of the questions I think more than half of the questions are information based, fact based, and unless and until you know the answer, you can't write. It's if you know kind of questions. So you have to revise. Now, once you have decided your resources, once you decide on your question bank, once you decide on your study material and primary read, you can do the questions, make your own notes, and revise repeatedly. Now, I'll walk you through my study routine and what it looked like on a given day, what I'll be doing. So, for me, before I prepare and appear for an exam or anything for that matter, I have to have an idea of what I'm going to do, on my stretched days. So, for my study plan, I make a strategy on what it's going to be like. So, for the next 60 days, I have a plan of what I'm going to do. Going to do question banks daily. I'm planning on 100 questions a day. If if minimum possible, I'll do 75 at least, and then I'll do my revision from my reading from my Maghrabi notes and create my own notes and do space revision. So this is my overall strategy and the bigger picture. I also would like to see my progress track and keep up with my picture, the bigger goal, and try to be as motivated as I can be. So, in order to stick to the schedule, I always keep a routine. I know when to wake up. I know where my study block's going to be, and I know exactly when I'm going to go to bed. And even if it's not going by the clock, I try to stick to my schedule and routine as strictly as possible. So, this is a glimpse of my Excel sheet, which I have done in elaborate planning. I can link down in the description if you can use it as a template for your own preparation. So this is roughly what my day looked like, and in the study blocks I decide the night before what I'm going to do in each study block, and I also keep a track of what I did at a given study block or given point of time. And then I'll walk you through my methodology. So, one is to have a strategy, then you have a routine. You set a routine, you go by that routine, you make it a habit, and then I'll tell you about my methodology. You can have your own, as flexible as it can be. So my first step is to do questions, because this is the primary modality of your learning. You can't just read from different books. This is not going to help you directly on your MRCP, but your question bank and question are going to help you. So do your question bank, do as many questions as possible, as I told. And when you're doing a question bank, try to maintain an error log. And if there is something that can't go into the error log, but you think it's something important, you can always go and put that in the flashcards, especially topics from pharmacology. As I told, that's really helpful, or infections for that matter, or syndromes, anything. Whatever that can go into the flashcards can go. And for notes, you can keep notes for your different topics separately, but keep it crisp and simple. Like for cardiology, you need not have more than 10 pages in total of all the topics that comes in cardiology. So if you write restrictive cardiomyopathy, just write 3-4 points that you need to retain and that you think you tend to forget easily. So when you revise, you only recollect what you are likely to forget, and whatever you have inside will stay. And while doing questions, also try to do past papers and mock papers, especially in a timed manner, so that you know whether you are trying to, whether you're able to keep track of time, and whether you're able to do the questions in the stipulated time, because it's not just about whether you know the questions, it's about how fast you can process, because you're getting around for 3 hours, you will get 100 questions. So you're getting around 180 minutes for 100 questions. So roughly a little less than 2 minutes. So it is important that you try to keep track of your time. Now, for the next step, when I read from Maghrabi notes, like if I am reading from hematology, I read up, and after reading the whole, like hematology, maybe 200 pages in Maghrabi notes, I try to read the whole and then create my notes, because when I read the whole picture thing, I tend to understand where I'm going to get mixed up, where I'm going to get confused, whatever I'm going to forget. So when I make my notes, I only emphasize on the most important points. And Maghrabi is a great tool because it emphasizes and highlights the most repeatedly asked questions and the points that we need to remember. So it is a great read. You can also read from other books, and you're flexible on that matter. But stick to one book and always keep your own notebook. Then revise. After doing a question bank, after doing your primary read from a book and creating your own notes, do space revision. And for space revision, use your tools that you have made, like your error log, your own notes, and your flashcards. It can be a great tool for your space revision and recollecting and remembering everything. Now, once you do everything, try to keep track of your progress. You can see yourself from day 1 to day 60, how much ever you have progressed, and try to target a specific point, like 80% or 90% when you're doing past paper or mock paper. Now, to sum it up, you have to know certain things before you give into your exam. First, know your syllabus, know what they're trying to test you, know over what all topics they're asking and the rough weightage of each topic. Do questions, as many questions as possible. Try to stick, doing 75 to 100 questions every day, so that in the next 2 months you're doing ample number of questions, which is going to help you a lot. Then try to keep an error log when you're doing questions. Keep it crisp, simple, and always write the reason why your answer was wrong and why the right answer is right, and write your learning point. Always have your own notes when you're reading from whatever work. Try to extract the only needed information into your notes. Keep it crisp, keep it simple, and keep it revisable. Then do your revision, do space revision every weekend. Select 2-3 topics and then revise. Revise, revise, and revise. It's much important. Now, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. There are more videos on MRCP preparation coming up, so feel free to share, subscribe, and comment down below whatever you have doubts and queries. I'll try to respond to them as quick as possible. Thank you. Have a great day, and